is 4:09 and you are now live.
Thank you, Carrie. Welcome to the Board of Examining Plumbers meeting for the City of Oneonta. It's Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021 at 4:09 p.m. If we could have a roll call, please.
Chair Back,
Here.
Vice Chair Rinkovich, not here. City Engineer Matthijs,
Here.
Code Enforcement Officer Yearly.
Here.
Thank you.
With those numbers, we do have a quorum, so we can proceed. First item is approval of minutes from October 22nd, 2020. Any discussion? Any issues? Hearing none, those minutes are approved by acclamation. Has there been any correspondence to the city?
No correspondence.
We have no old business. Moving on to new business, as we need to do the beginning of every year, a selection of chairs and vice chairs. Who wants to be chair? Yeah, is everybody muted, Carrie? Guess not.
Just silent.
Just silent, okay.
A lot of people are really excited. They just don't know what to, you know.
Can we make a motion for somebody? I guess probably me.
I motion that Jeff Back be the chair of the Plumbers Board.
Second,
Second.
so moved. Vote, please. Roll call.
Chair Back,
Yes.
Officer Yearly.
Yes.
And City Engineer Matthijs.
Yes.
It passes.
So I get to be a chair for another year. So now we should have the opportunity for selection of vice chair. I'm going to nominate Mr. Rinkovich.
Second that.
Uh,
Heard that.
Roll call again, please.
Chair Back,
Aye.
Code Enforcement Officer Yearly.
Yes.
And City Engineer Matthijs.
Yes.
It passes.
So that's out of the way. Meeting dates and times. I would like to make a motion that we go to an annual meeting in January and then call meetings as needed throughout the year. Any discussion on that? Or I guess as a motion, we have to have the okay to rank it as a motion.
I'll second that, and I think we can do discussion then.
Okay, then we can do roll. Oh,
Can we do a roll call, please?
okay. Chair Back,
Yes.
Code Enforcement Officer Yearly.
Yes.
And City Engineer Matthijs.
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, moving on, any other topics that need to be brought up at this meeting?
I guess my question would be, do we have any do we have anything we want to work on? I mean, we've done the code update. I know we had a couple like the backflow stuff. We, like Greg and I discussed a couple projects, I guess, that are related to plumbing. I don't know.
I think, yeah, you're on to something maybe, Stephen, with, you did it. You know, we've been talking about grease traps and oil and water separators and trying to get a program of inspection and at least record keeping, you know, tracking record keeping that owners of said devices should be keeping themselves. So maybe like have an education campaign, talking to plumbers about, maybe we send something out to the plumbers when we, you know, establish whatever it is we're going to do differently.
I think
Yeah.
that's, Steve?
Hmm?
Say something, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was just one of those, you know, I wasn't sure if we wanted to set like an agenda of topics and things to do or, um, you know,
What do you think about the idea of looking at the materials that you and Greg have put together so far? We'll do a quick review and then open it up to the board to look at and give you feedback.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the limit of our authority in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, as an advisory type thing. And
Yeah, I think it
that,
would make a lot of sense to get the planning board's input on something like that.
the other thing that you pick up, it might be a good idea that if we did those kinds of mailings to licensed plumbers, there may in fact be the opportunity to get more involvement from them. And that would be a good agenda to follow and try up on, or try that on. So yeah, I'm good with that. So if I could ask, pull your ideas together, even in rough form, and we can take a look at it and then proceed with it. Good.
Sounds good. We tackle that first, and maybe we can go on to talk a little bit about backflow preventers. Not that we
Okay.
have we've got right now is a little background information. We use BSI Online Backflow Solutions Incorporated. It's a company that, it's just an online cloud-based management system for tracking these, which, our code, we should be tracking them. And, when I got looking into this, we had, there were no records, not many at all, no system of organization. So we went with that to get it off the ground, but it's something that Steve and I talked about a little bit. We could pretty easily track it through the code office, through Municity, through their system there, and kind of consolidate things. So we'll probably transition to that at some point, but
And backflows require testing once a year.
annually, yeah. So
yeah, and it's a license through the state. So
Right.
the state licenses, um, as feedback from a license holder, Bernie Z will not use BSI.
which means that, so the way it's set up now in the city,
Did he call your office about that?
I haven't talked to him, no,
Okay.
he did, but so the way it works now, the city's gone with BSI, and we've sent letters to all licensed plumbers when we first went with this, maybe 3 years ago. I don't know when it was exactly, but they have to submit their results directly to BSI, and there's a fee associated with that, $12.95 per test result, which
Exactly.
obviously would get passed on to the customer, presumably, if you knew about it and you were the tester. So maybe that's his problem with that, but otherwise we don't accept the results. So any testing he did would not be on file with the city. And so technically that backflow preventer and the customer, the property owner that owns that would not be in compliance. So
Right.
it would be nice to eliminate that extra fee and just have it go through the code office like we talked about. But at the time, things were still kind of in their silos. That was a DPW thing, and we're going to work better together. And I think it's just a natural progression. We're just not quite haven't taken the time or had the time to make it happen yet. But Steven's got his new Municity software upgrade ongoing. Maybe when that's all set up and running smoothly, we can transition to this. But what do you think, Steve?
Could you forward me some information on that documentation center on how they're set up and what they do and how they do it?
Yeah.
And it's pretty much a standardized format that's used in other areas throughout the state, I would assume.
Yeah, it's still the same standard forms. It's just who they're submitting them to. In this case, instead of submitting directly to the city, they're submitting them to BSI Online.
Okay. Is there any reason why you would not want to continue that concept?
I mean, there is an added cost to the testers who presumably pass that on to the customer. So if we have a system set up where the code enforcement office is already accepting all sorts of permit applications and smoke detector forms, and it's not going to be $12.95 per test worth of added effort on their part, as long as it's not creating a burden on them that they can't handle, it would be a help to the customers to not have to pay that extra fee.
Wouldn't it be more economical for the city to be using that format rather than taking the time of code enforcement and other employees to manage and review that?
Well, the thing with these is really, and I'll leave it up to Steve in the end if his office can handle it. Again, I don't want to add on extra burden, but I don't think it's much because it's automatic. I mean, it's set up. You have to submit this, and if you don't, then a letter will go out saying that you didn't do. It's just like it is with BSI online. There's very minimal effort on our part, other than following up on non-compliant devices, which it automatically notifies you of. And with Municity, that once you get that set up, it should happen automatically. It shouldn't be Steven's employee checking down a list and reviewing things and spending time on it. It should just be that pops up as a flag, like someone's non-compliant.
Isn't there also a form that's filled out that has to go to someone at the state or Department of Health?
That's when you propose a new device or replacement. It's supposed to be filled out by a professional engineer, the device you select. And then that's an application for a new backflow device. You send that to the water supplier of the city, and then we send that to the state. And then they send it back, and then it's approved. And then after that, the test form is just needs to be sent to the water supplier. The supplier needs to keep that on file and have records, but it needs to be sent to the state.
Did Mr. Z give any reasoning why he didn't want to do that?
I didn't talk to him.
It's the fee. It was just, he's one of the people that is licensed to do those inspections through the state, and he just complained about the fee. So it's just one of those generic, like, I mean, everyone complains about if any fee we collect, but that was just one of the drawbacks of using BSI was that, you do have to pay that fee, and that's just one of the,
Yeah, okay. So, let's proceed with those concepts that we just spoke about. We'll do the grease traps first, then move on to the backflow. Would ask engineering and codes to make a decision if the format you're using for backflows is what you want. Whatever we decide on, it would be my opinion that it should be standardized throughout. What's good for one is good for the other. Make that easy enough. Okay. Any other topics?
No. And Steve, is there any, as far as the education of the plumbers regarding things like heat pumps and that sort of, is there,
I mean, we could generate that kind of material.
I just wonder if we could try to, as the board, identify a training opportunity in that realm and try to push that out to the professionals in the community.
I mean, I think one thing I kind of talked to Bennett about was increasing awareness of like NYSERDAs. So in order for like, let's say I wanted to have like a heat pump installed at my house. To get money through NYSERDA, I have to use a contractor that's on their like their trades list. Well, like there's no one in Oneonta, basically. It's a whole list of guys from out of town.
Do you think that's because the plumbers in the city are not aware?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like when we initially looked at that program, me and my wife, I mean, there's really no one in the city of Oneonta that's on that list. So that list, if you're applying for NYSERDA money to like put in a heat pump or any sort of like a water heater, like a high efficiency, I mean, they're all basically out of town contractors.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's an opportunity, I think, where, we have guys in town that could, it'd be at least nice to get on a list, like if that's getting distributed with every application, that's that's work. Like that's, and those are the type of projects where, you're putting in $1,000 just for the unit water heater, or, a $4,000 heat pump. Like it's not
only going to become more prevalent over time.
right. So if they could kind of bite into that business, or at least, be in the running for it, it might be worth it.
Yeah, it sounds like there may be enough training topics that would give us the opportunity to do some mailings to the plumbers, because I'm getting feedback and the feelings that a plumbing license in the city is almost a disconnect from their trades. So if we gave them a vehicle to kind of relate what we're trying to do and increase the quality of work in the city, that might not be a bad thing. It gives us that vehicle to start that communication chain again, which has been lost for quite some time.
Yeah, if we can demonstrate our value to them, they had to pay for a license through the city, and the city plumbing board provides a training opportunity now and then that could help their business, then hopefully that improves the relation. Hey, Mike, you there?
Yeah, I am.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
Vice Chair Rinkevich, thank you for joining us. You are the Vice
Yeah.
Chair for 2021.
Okay.
Just wanted to let you know.
All right, thank you.
We went easy on you, didn't make you the chair.
All right.
We can have those conversations in the future, Michael. So what we've talked about is we went through the agenda so far. We're completed with that. We're into a conversation of doing some review for codes and engineering on backflow preventers and also grease traps, starting with the grease.
Right.
The other topic that's come up is coming up with training topics that we might engage with the licensed plumbers to start the communication between the plumbing board and the city.
Okay.
The other thing is we have set up to do an annual meeting for the plumbing board in January, and then as needed meetings throughout the year when something occurs that we need to meet for that, which gives us some additional flexibility. It's pretty much.
Okay.
Have I missed anything, guys?
That was pretty much it. So,
Mike,
Well,
is there
we're-
anything? I'm sorry, Greg.
I was going to say, so our next step, Stephen and I will keep working. We've been working on, started working on the grease trap oil water separator issue, and we'll kind of put some materials together, and then when we're ready, I guess we can email the board and we'll pick a meeting date and announce it and have another meeting, or did you want to pick another date now, Jeff? I mean, it might be better just to wait until we're ready and then figure it out.
I would suggest let's wait until you're ready with the workloads and the things you have going on.
Yeah.
Once you get that together, even if it's in draft format, perhaps we can start giving you some feedback early on rather than having to redo or recreate or come up with different ideas.
Works for
Does
me.
that sound like a more efficient plan?
Yeah.
Mike, are you good with that?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Any other topics we want to talk about? Mike, do you have anything?
Not really at this time.
Okay. Going once, going twice. Anything else? We will call the meeting adjourned. Thank you for your help, your efforts, and participation.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Have a good night.
All right, thank you.